Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jess, and this is my booktube. Today's video is one that I've been wanting to do for a while, and it is reading Destiny Sidwell's 5-star reads. Asterisk, because I did not read all of them that she had posted in her 5-star reads video. I read 5 of them. 4 physical and 1 on my Kindle. And the books that I read are Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, Beach Read by Emily Henry, You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel, and Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Hopefully you can see that. I did not read the other 2 just because I didn't really want to, so I kind of cheated and I only read 5 of them. But I think there were like, there were 2 others. I think there were 7 out of the whole video, so. But let me backtrack a little. If you don't know who Destiny Sidwell is, she is a pretty popular booktuber, and she is one of my favorites. I love to watch her, and she just has such a cool personality, and she makes me happy, and yeah. So why don't we just get started? I think we're gonna go with, we'll go in the order that I read them. And so first I read Binding 13, and this follows Shannon, who has a very troubled home life and school life. She is like the new kid in school. She's had to transfer like a million times because she's constantly being bullied and harassed and pushed around, and her home life isn't any better. She's very abused by her father, who is like this crazy alcoholic, and she has these like, I think she has like 4 or 5 siblings who are also like not, who are also not treated well by her father. And then, her mother is in the picture, but she doesn't really do anything about the abuse, so she kind of just sits there and watches it happen. So I read this book over a period of a few days, and I rated this 5 stars as well. I thought it was such a like touching, but like, it was very like heavy, but it was because of like all the abuse that it involves. But I did enjoy it because of the romance aspect, and that is when Shannon gets like hit in the head with hit in the head by a foot with a what is it? Football by Johnny Kavanagh. Kavanagh? I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not Irish, so I don't know the correct pronunciation, but she gets hit and she kind of gets a concussion, so he like accompanies her to the nurse, and he feels really bad about it, and somehow he just like starts falling for her. And it's a very like the romance aspect between Shannon and Johnny is like, it's not the main plot point, but it's like the best one, obviously. And it's really nice too because there is no 3rd act breakup, which I really enjoyed. Of course, there are like a couple of sequels to it, so I don't know what happens in those because I obviously haven't read them yet, because this was my first time reading Binding 13. So yeah. Overall, like I said, I did rate it 5 stars, so I agree with Destiny that it is an incredible book, and will I read it again? Maybe someday. So next we have You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. And let me tell you, well, first of all, this was a reread. I'm getting ahead of myself. This has a very special place in my heart because this was the first contemporary romance book that I've ever read. Like, like adult contemporary romance, in the romance section, like that wasn't in like the YA section or anything like that. Like, this was my first contemporary romance book. And the first time I read it, I mean, it was a good book. I bought it, I read it, and I enjoyed it. But this time around was like, I don't know what it was. I sobbed. Like, I was hysterical reading this. It was so, like, heartwarming, and, like, I just, and you know, for that reason, yeah, I rated it 5 stars as well, because if a book like this can make you cry, I mean, it's gotta be good. So I don't know if Destiny cried reading this. I don't think she did, or else I would have remembered to add that, but it doesn't matter. I cried. I loved it. This book is everything to me. This book follows Naomi and Nicholas, who are engaged and they're planning their wedding, but they kind of start falling out of love with each other. And then Nicholas buys like a new house or something, and like for them to live in, and Naomi's like, why the heck did you buy a new house? And it's like this whole thing, and so they make a bet, like whoever like backs out of the house or whatever has to front the wedding bill and like the cancellations and everything, because they don't want to get married anymore. But the way it happens is they start like playing pranks on each other and trying to get each other to lose the bet. And as they're doing that, they're kind of falling back in love with each other. So it's the ending though, like obviously I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's such a good book. I loved it. It, like I said, it has such a special place in my heart. Naomi Nicholas forever. So next I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and this follows Augustus Everett and January Andrews, and yes, I am reading it from the back just because it's been a long week. You know, this is one of the first books I read, so my brain is just full of books. So excuse the brain, not brain damage, but so this follows Augustus and January, and they are complete opposites, and they are living not together but next door to each other in different beach houses, and they're both writers, so they also make a bet that they January wants Augustus to write a romance novel, and Augustus challenges January to write the next great American novel or whatever. And, you know, along the way, they start developing feelings for each other, and because they take each other out to do like research, but it's really like they're taking each other out on dates, and it's such a good book. Let me tell you, I'm not, again, no spoilers. Chapter 27, I bawled my eyes out. Chapter 27, baby. Like, if you read this, just be prepared for chapter 27. So next I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and this follows Macy and Elliot in a dual timeline. It's not, is it? Yeah, it's not really like a dual point of view, but it's a dual timeline. And this follows what happens before and after a like tragic event occurs. Like it's not tragic, but it's like a heartbreaking event that affects Macy, and it's just, I will tell you, I got through this pretty quickly, but I didn't cry, and for that reason I rated this 4 stars instead of 5, because like I said, it's not like the best book I've ever read, but it's pretty freaking good, I'll tell you that much. And the final book I read was Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and this follows Lily and Lauren, or Lo, and they each have different addictions. Lo is addicted to drinking, and Lily is addicted to sex, and they kind of like have to battle their addictions at like throughout like handling their families and their lives, and they're also pretending to date, but you know, when you pretend to date, there's got to be feelings that bubble up to the surface. So that's pretty much what happens. And but honestly, like, it wasn't a 5-star read for me. It was a 4. Honestly, I wasn't like super invested in the plot or anything, and for that reason I gave it 4 stars instead of 5. Um yeah, that's just how I felt about it. If you read it and you have a different opinion, that's okay. We all have different opinions. We're all allowed to. Okay, so that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, and I'd really like to hit it maybe this week. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.